This is English shorthand dictation number 65 and the dictation speed is 160 words per minute. Ready? Start. Madam, I rise to oppose the motion of thanks to the President's address and I stand in support of the amendments moved by our party. More importantly, I rise against the betrayal of the body politic that this government has been responsible for. I sincerely hope that the Treasury benches will have the patience to hear me out, even if they lack that instinct for self-preservation that will actually make them listen. So if they have got express instructions today or the express intent today to shout me down, I say to them to do so at their own peril, because people of India today are on the streets and their voices are beyond their power to silence. As a member of the opposition, I have the unquestionable right to tell you that as a government you lack humility. You secured approximately 37% of the 67% of votes cast out of a pool of 900 million voters. That is only about 230 million people. You got only 23 crore votes out of 1.3 billion citizens. So despite the fact that you might have had the largest majority in several decades, do not arrogate to yourself an extra constitutional authority over every citizen and do not go beyond the tenets of democracy. Today I rise to speak of betrayal. This betrayal is not just to myself. I was not part of the 31% who voted for you in 2014, and I was not part of the 37% who voted for you in 2019. This is not about people like me. I was skeptical about you, your ideology, and your rhetoric right from the word go. In a sense, you owe me little, but the truth is that you have betrayed the very citizens who did vote for you. The truth is that you have betrayed the very citizens who voted for you. You did not come to power on the vote of the Hindu right alone. You came to power because a very large section of ordinary people cast aside whatever reservations they might have had about your past and believed your promises and slogans, which they took to mean development for a united India. They believed in your alternative narrative of merit, of transparency, and of a world without nepotism. It is these middle-of-the-road voters to whom you owe your historic mandate. These were not the hardcore believers like the Sanghis, but they still believed you and they still voted for you. But you have betrayed the younger voter who was eagerly looking forward to his first job. You betrayed the small businessman by your foolish decision of demonetization, killing his market and ruining his business for no fathomable reason. You betrayed thousands of tribal people in Gujarat whose land you took to build a statue and to whom now you have given jobs as toilet cleaners. You have betrayed them by questioning the citizenship of the very citizens who voted you to power. It is your middle-of-the-road voters who today cannot recognize the India that they are living in. They cannot recognize the images they see on their television screens. They cannot identify the hate-filled venomous invective that they see members of the ruling party spew out publicly. A week ago, a meeting of Holocaust survivors was convened in Poland to commemorate the 75th liberation of the dreaded Auschwitz camp. Only 200 people are still surviving. We need to remember that the Holocaust happened not only because of those who pressed the switch of the gas chamber, but also because of those who sat back and watched when their neighbors were first marked out systematically and then dragged from their homes. The NPR, the NRC, and the CAA are all tools in this Machiavellian design to first mark out, then disenfranchise, and finally annihilate. This is your biggest betrayal of those who voted for you. Nobody wanted to be part of this us versus them debate. My friends who voted for you in 2014 are horrified at what is happening in their name under your watch. As every election comes and goes, your members demonize dissent, exalting your supporters to shoot people who stand up to you. Today you have allowed an MP who was banned by the Election Commission from speaking for 36 hours to come to the floor of the House and present the manifesto of the ruling party for the Delhi Assembly elections. You have the executive authority to do so. You speak of dharma. Have you forgotten that? You build false narratives where old ladies become terrorists and children become traitors. But today, the citizens are finally standing up to these bullies. You have betrayed your mandate. You have broken your promise to put the economy first and to put development first. My words will be incomplete if I do not highlight the abysmal state of the economy, of the arcane jugglery that this government practices, where the finance minister is fearful of putting out the real GDP growth target. The finance minister on the floor of the House says that nominal GDP target is 10%. In the month of December, the consumer price index was at 6.70%. Does that mean that the real GDP growth rate today is 3.30%? That is what the government is saying. Remember, when there is no integrity in statistics, little else remains. According to the National Sample Survey, between 2011-12 and 2017-18, per capita consumption dropped in real terms. This is unprecedented in modern times. According to the same data, all of that drop happened after 2014. This data was first made public, but then as the bad news started to go around, the government suppressed the 2017-18 NSS survey, complaining that it was unreliable. There was no credible explanation given, though this very data had been used to tom-tom poverty reduction in the past. There is perhaps even worse news. The GDP numbers are disputed partly because of disagreements about the right measure of inflation. A bigger problem may be that our way to compute the GDP of the informal sector is crude and backward looking. So we overestimate the GDP when the informal sector is shrinking. You have a tendency to rubbish every economic expert who does not agree with you. But your very own chief economic advisor, whom you selected, has gone now on record to say that all the more reliable measures of macro statistics, such as growth in exports, import and credit, investment, vehicle sales, are mostly negative. This is more similar to a recession year like 1991 than the moderate growth year that you say we are having. Then there are unemployment numbers, high and growing, which the government denies. If we are really in a crisis, the government is doing this country a huge disservice by trying to suppress data and denying the correctness of the data that exists. You have betrayed the ideals of transparency and a better governance that you claim you were wedded to, and your betrayal has gone much further than that. You have betrayed the history of this republic. You have denounced the very ideals on which we fought and gained our freedom, which is so peaceful and non-violent dissent. You have tried time and again to rewrite the past and create a grotesque singular version of India with false history. Thank you, Madam, for letting me talk on the motion of thanks to the President's address. To start with, I would like to reiterate that our party is opposed to NRC and even NPR. Our government has issued a GO where they have removed objections by the minority community, and that GO is going to be enforced in our state. So we request the government to reconsider the questionnaire in NPR also, so that there is no insecurity in the minority community. We had supported CAA. It was perceived to be meant for people of only 3 countries, Afghanistan, Pakistan and Bangladesh. But I would like to bring to the notice of the House and the government that every day we see people in the streets, even in my constituency, in my state. So the government has to address this. The government has to see that there is no insecurity in the minority community. I hope the government acts on this. Madam, coming to our issues, Andhra Pradesh is a new state. It is a new baby. We have been requesting for the past 6 years from when the AP Reorganization Act had been passed. We have been requesting that we need support. We were born with unviable finances, so we have been asking for special category status. It was promised on this very floor of the House. We have been asking for implementing all the points in the AP Reorganization Act. We request the government to act on this. Earlier we heard that special category status could not be given because the 14th Finance Commission. We totally oppose this. The 15th Finance Commission in its report clearly stated that there is no link between the 15th Finance Commission and special category status, and it is only an executive decision. So we demand special category status. We have lost count of how many times we have demanded special category status and in how many ways we have demanded it. So we request the government to act on this. We also request the government to act on revenue deficit grant. It was promised that whatever revenue deficit for the new state is there in the first year, it will be reimbursed.